why the house Bill Bratt paid entrance.
And I know you're saying is why was Bill Bratt paid when he was chief exec and we're doing 29,000 a year. I mean, I think, I totally agree. You know, I mean, I know what he's been doing. You know what he's been doing. I think we all know what he's been doing. But he's not here, you know. And I think that we've got to assume that as Perry has got a letter of resignation in his desk, as the board are saying we will not accept them changing that in any way, shape or form, we've got to find a way of trying to move it forward from here so that we're actually all singing from the same song sheet. Sorry, you got a question? Wait, thank you.
Just back to the Mark Sims thing again. I think that most people in this room would agree that the essential move next to get the way forward for the board and for the club is to get Mark Sims on board. And there's one of a few things we can do.
Can I answer that about Mark?
I haven't finished yet.
Sorry.
To do that, the gentleman is going to need to do due diligence on our accounts, on our bank statements, on the financial security, or lack of it, of this club that he's going to get himself into. Now, in the past, is it true that he was given half a day to do that and then obstructed from seeing what was necessary? In the future, will that be the same again for anybody else coming in, whether it be Mark Sims or any other investor, any other person coming in to help the club? How can they put their money where their mouth is if they're not allowed to do due diligence properly?
Okay. Mark spent half a day, you're absolutely right, Mark spent half a day at the club with his accountant and looked at the profit and loss account, the club's cash flow forecast for the next 12 months and various other bits and pieces. He was there about 5 hours, as you're probably aware. Mark went away from that and then asked some more questions, which I personally answered, every single one of them, which he'll confirm this, I'm certain. I answered every one of them, but he also asked to meet with myself and the directors again prior to making any decision. We did that, we met with Mark, and Dave attended that meeting also, and Mark asked more questions. And as far as I'm aware, David, I recall every single one of them were answered. Whether Mark liked the answer or not, every single question was answered. We then waited for Mark's decision, and Mark announced quite publicly by the press that he was at this point rejecting the opportunity to join the board of Port Vale. Not because he hadn't been given due financial access, but because he wanted certain criteria met before he would consider that seat on the board.
Well, that's the criteria. Hold on.
Some of that criteria has now been met, and actually what I said to Mark personally, and again he'll confirm it, what I said to Mark was, look, some of these things are actually going through process, some of the things you're asking for, so can we, at your convenience, meet again so we can talk through, in terms of your list of conditions, we can talk with you sensibly about what are absolute deal breakers and what you're a little bit more flexible on, because of course at that stage Mike and I knew the possibility that there would be some change in the board. And as Dave points out, I have a letter in my desk from the ex-chairman confirming he will step off the board of directors, and we also have Glenn's public pronouncement he won't seek re-election. So Mike and I knew those sorts of things were coming. So we just wanted to establish with Mark what we... It's locked. There's 2 locks you've got to get through. I'm assuming that it'll still be there tomorrow. At that point, Mark's answer was no, unless every single one of these conditions are met at this stage, I'm going to reject the seat on the board. From a personal point of view, I was hugely disappointed. I like Mark. I think Mark brings an awful lot to Port Vale, and I, along with the chairman, we're doing everything that I can and Mike can to try and get him onto the board of directors, because I believe he's an asset to the football club. There's no issue here at this table with Mark joining the board. Now what we're hoping now that the announcements have been made about the ex-chairman and Glenn, is that Mark will want to come back and talk about how we can move things forward for him personally in Port Vale. And I understand from speaking this morning that Mark has an appetite now to do that, and once he's back, And Mike and I are back from the States, and we'll sit down and we'll talk about moving things forward. And I think everybody here would be happy with that. We're trying to get to a position where we can get him onto the board of directors.
If I could just make a quick announcement. We've been asked, the owner of a car, Delta Yankee 59 X-ray November Oscar, the lorry has tried to access the place where your car is parked. If that is you, if you could remove it, that would be lovely.
We're not from bloody London. Can you just give us the letters? Delta Yankee what?
Sorry,
Jesus Christ.
I'm still in work mode. Just for Dave. D for Dave.
I think he's on his way.
Perry, sorry to interject, but while I've got the microphone, I mean, you said that you knew these things were coming in terms of Bill Bratt and
Possibly coming.
possibly coming.
Yeah.
But why did Glenn Oliver make his statement that he was going nowhere after all this then?
I was as surprised as you were.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you've just said, you've just pretty much said, I think we all wanted to hear, and that is that you're going to do everything you can. You're going to bend over backwards to get Mark Sims on board. At the moment, mate, actions speak louder than words. We've heard a lot of words over the past 8 years. There's a lot of very disappointed people around here. But you have just pretty much said what we want to hear. If you can convince Mark Sims to come onto the board of directors, which is where he should be, then, and he does his due diligence correctly, then you've made a first step. You're on the way somewhere. Until you do that, a lot of people here
I can clarify that Mark has, I've spoken to Mark, and Mark has asked to actually get together when he comes back from holiday, and that's one of the things that I'm really looking to try and get, because at some point we've all got to go back through the doors at the Vale. And so we've got Ray, sorry, have you got a microphone, or is somebody still playing with it? Oh, sorry, Steve, sorry.
Yeah, I've got it, sorry. Yeah, actions speak louder than words, that's the key phrase, I think. I just want to move this into the forward-thinking side of things and think about the new investment. I believe personally it is the right of every duly and democratically elected board of directors to make decisions on investment that is coming in. However, the directors of a club are the employees of that club, and that club is owned by the shareholders. So, although shareholders may not get to vote on whether investment comes in, they should at least be duly informed and allowed to make an informed decision and to feed that back to the board. Is there going to be some sort of process whereby the shareholders of the club are informed of what this new investment is going to be, how it will be structured, and how that will provide benefit for the club, so that we can provide at least some sort of voiced consensus of opinion back to the board on whether we believe it's for the good of Port Vale or not.
It's up to a duly elected board to decide on commercial investment. You cannot come back to the shareholders on every single thing that goes on. It's absolutely impossible. You wouldn't get anything moving forward. And if you go to other football clubs, you'll find it's the same thing. The only difference between Vale and a lot of other clubs is that you do not have a 51% plus majority shareholder who would do just whatever he liked, whoever that was. And I think you have to leave it to the board, particularly Perry and myself, because we are leading on this, especially with Bill and Glenn standing down, and Mickey wants to concentrate on team affairs. But I think you have to leave it to our judgment to come forward, and we will tell you what this investment is all about. After that, as Perry's already said, any new directors have to be invited to join the board, and you, at that stage, you will have a vote on that position.
It comes back to trust, doesn't it though, Mike? It comes back to trust. We've got a board that we have voted of no confidence in. The majority, small shareholders, voted in no confidence on a minority of large shareholders. Those same people are now deciding the future fate of our club.
Can I just come in there? conditions of the investment that Mike and I are currently negotiating, and the plan is, just so that we're clear, is that Mike and I fly out to meet them again a week today, and when we come back, we're hoping to be able to issue a statement and a presentation in this kind of forum, if that's what you're looking for, to tell you exactly what we've done on behalf of Port
But we
Vale.
want to know.
But I also have to tell you, I think it's out there in the media anyway. I'm sure Scoop here has reported it at some point. Sorry, Steve Shaw. We call him Scoop at the club. Just a condition of the investment in the football club that Mike and I are talking about is that both directors step down off the board. So therefore, from that you can gather that they're not involved in negotiations and won't be.
I need to know more than that, though. I need to know that if this club gets promoted, please God, at the end of this season, is this deal going to be enough that we can afford six-figure salaries or whatever we've got to pay, six-figure deal sums to buy good players and to invest in the club so as to retain that League One status at the end of the following season?
I certainly hope so, yes, because this, one of the reasons I came to Port Vale when I was offered the position was that this is a championship club, naturally, in my opinion, and who knows from there. So that's the first order of business, you're right, and in Mo's vision, I think he was absolutely right in that the championship should be the aim for this club in 5 years, and I think you find that's what we're all trying to work towards. But there are, Mike and I are subject to confidentiality clauses, and rightly so. If we talk about it, about the things we're negotiating, we'll be in breach. And the one thing that I desperately don't want to happen, which is always a possibility, is that these people decide to take their investment to another football club, because they've got that option always. And I absolutely guarantee you, and I hope you'll agree with me when we tell you what it's all about, is that there are a large number of football clubs who would like this kind of investment and this kind of deal. We're trying to keep it at Port Vale.
I'm keeping an open mind on it, but I need to know what I'm keeping an open mind on.
But we're subject to confidentiality clauses.
I understand the confidentiality, I understand it entirely, but there's confidentiality and then there's knowing nothing at all.
Yeah, I think the thing is, Steve, is that we've been told today that this investment is in the region of millions, rather than being £100,000 or whatever we first thought the Ameriturf deal was going to be. Now, they've said that is what the investment is going to be, and we've got to see that when this contract gets announced, that it is actually that, and if it is that, then I think it's 3 cheers to the guys next to us, and I'll actually buy them a pint, and that's something I never do in my life. And if it isn't, then I'll buy a pint, it'll go over his head. And I think that's as far as we can go, mate, to be quite honest, without actually creating issues. And I think that one of the things is that, because I know there's things at the moment where fans are wanting to actually email discontent and things, I genuinely think that we should hold back a little bit on that for the time being, so that we're not seen as being as the idiots who shot ourselves in the foot. Sorry, sorry Malcolm, there's one...